To start with, I need to make a confession. I love education, I love learning. And I know it's Saturday, I know it's not school time, and I see some of my students and I apologize to them that they have to be here. But do they? They chose it to be here. I love learning, and as far as I remember, that was always with me. I was this annoying kid that actually liked going to school, through primary school, through high school, through university. And if I remember correctly, I actually also liked taking tests. Strange. But what I know, that if I was talking now to a group of kindergarten children, that love of learning would be in them. Kindergarten children are inherently interested in the world around them. And then something changes for some of us, for most of us maybe. So I want to talk to you today about the subject that I feel really, really important, which is education, and what making mistakes have to do with it. In order to do that, let me go back to 16 August 2014. It was an important day. Maybe not important for the world, but definitely important for my own story. Many things happened then, many things started. Among them, one of the most exciting learning adventures. My daughter was born. On 16 August last year, Miriam came to the world, and she is a source of inspiration, joy, and amazing, amazing companion in looking after the world. And I would like to start with sharing with you 15 seconds of her life. And the story happened sometime after she was born, last summer when we went to Cafe, my favorite cafe in Gliwicach. She doesn't like coffee yet, so she got bored. And she was at the stage where she started to walk indoors, and the cafe was too small for her, and I decided to go outside. And being a proud dad, I had to obviously capture her first walk outside on my camera. And here it is, 15 seconds of her walking along the streets. And, of course, she falls down. Now, if this was a test for walking, if she was trying to get a license, walking license, she would have failed, or at least she wouldn't get the perfect score. Fortunately, we don't need to pass the license. We can all freely walk as we wish. Now, I would like us to look at the situation for a few seconds, for a few minutes. What happened there? Of course, she realized she didn't do it in the right way. When we walk, we are supposed to move in a horizontal direction, not vertical. When she went down, she got up and carried on. It was not a problem. She didn't realize it is a problem. She didn't worry what other children will think of her. She didn't worry what the teachers will think of her, or whether it will implement her ability to get into university. Lucky girl. Now, what was my reaction? It was not caught on the camera, as the primary instructor giver, me as a teacher. Was I worrying that my teaching was bad? Was I concerned about the result? What will the headmaster, i.e. my wife, tell about the program that we implemented? No, I was just very, very happy that she was walking. I was overjoyed that she actually was learning the world, and her falling down I took as a natural part of the process. And there is something absolutely wonderful in that situation. In this context, making a mistake is absolutely natural. It's not a problem that needs to be redeemed. It's not learning from errors in the way that bad thing happened and we need to somehow redeem it, make the best of a bad situation. But it was a natural part. In fact, it was so natural that it's very hard for us to imagine learning to walk without falling down, or learning to ski. I actually never get past the falling down part. I still cannot ski. So what happens between that age and a few years later, more or less by the time when we enter the school, that suddenly making a mistake is the worst thing that could happen? I have worked for a number of years in a school, and I have met many parents who come and they really want to talk about their children, they're concerned, and they ask, what is the problem? What is my daughter, my son doing wrong? What can we do to help? I have met many students who are really concerned. They want to get the perfect score. Or, what's more important, they will not ask a question because they will look stupid. Or they will not try something new. And I really like what Grzegorz was saying about sport, that it will be so wonderful if we could try new sports and fail and succeed. And unfortunately, and that is really, really important, that feeling of being afraid of failure, of making a mistake, some of us take into adult life. And I have met adults, grown-up people, developed people with developed personalities who are still afraid to try new things, to actually engage in something that they can do only because they do not believe that they will do it perfectly. And most likely they're right. They will not do it perfectly, but the idea that they can make a mistake is terrifying. So how does it happen? Well, as I said, I love education. I spend a lot of time thinking about it, and I think education has something to do with it. And I want to share with you two ideas. One is that the reason why this happens is maybe because we tell stories, education stories, in a certain way. If you could remember how you were taught physics, I studied physics, and apart from education, that's another topic I can happily talk about, but I was not allowed to talk about that. But I will try to smuggle some of it. So if you go back to your physics lesson, if you remember the story of Isaac Newton, him sitting on the tree, an apple falling down on his head, him thinking, there's a force, something pulls it down. Can we make it general? Mass, acceleration. Bingo. Laws of motions, a fundamental change in the way we understand mechanics. Or Archimedes, feeling kind of tired, going to have a bath, the bathtub being full of water, getting into the water overspills, eureka moment. Stories are wonderful. They're simple to understand, and in fact, if you take any scientific journal or scientific textbook, we'll find many of them. We have this idea, we do this test, bingo, we have the results. Now, these stories are simple to understand. They could even be inspirational, but they have one fundamental problem. They are not true. Because if we are to look at how the stories happen, I think this is much more likely scenario. And I think this is the simplified version of what happens in reality. We make guesses, we make errors, we carry on making errors, we try something new, it doesn't work, we stumble at the right answer, we forget it, we come back. It's messy. Real life, real science is messy. And yet, in school, we give this wonderful, simple picture, which might be easy to understand, but which creates this idea that everything is simple. Everything should follow. There are no mistakes on the way. So that's one thing, the stories and how we tell about science and inventions. The second story is standardized testing. We've heard much things about how bad they are, and I think one of the casualties of standardized testing is this attitude, this paradigm, that there is one right answer, and you need to know it. If we are trying to test on something that is like a multiple choice test, then we who set the test, we know the answer, and there's no chance of actually trying something else, something new. You have to know the right answer. And it leads to a certain mentality, something that I call a photocopier paradigm. We as teachers, we as people who create the education system, we have this idea what is right, and we want others to copy it. Now, this might have worked 100 years ago, although I doubt it. It might work in preparing for some jobs, but I doubt it. But in the world that we live in today, it becomes less and less and less so. If we were to take any of the buildings that Przemo just showed us, and we were trying to apply standard way of thinking, we wouldn't get anything done, because each one of them required thinking outside the box, required to finding a new answer. The photocopy paradigm assumes that there is the right answer and it is known. And in more and more cases that we find ourselves, and this is not only about designers, it's not only about artists, but people who manage projects, manage teams, who try to do anything, it requires us to find new answer or to create new answer. And this is a completely different skill set, a skill set that a photocopy paradigm doesn't help. So we need a new paradigm. We need a new way of teaching, a new way of engaging with others. And looking for that new paradigm, for me, a great inspiration was Lev Vygotsky, a Russian scientist who came up with the idea of zone of proximal development. And his idea, which is very simple but yet so powerful, is to say that learning is autonomous process. We learn ourselves, and we learn best when we try to do something we have not done before. Like my daughter trying to learn. She didn't know how to do it. She's trying it. And if she's trying to do something she doesn't know, then she needs some help from others. And those others can be teachers or peers, it doesn't matter, but people who try to help. And if we are looking for a new paradigm, instead of photocopy, let us think about scaffolding. In Vygotsky's idea, the role of a teacher or a peer is to build a scaffolding which will provide a safety net, a place where we can make mistakes, where we can make errors, but these errors and these attempts are a natural part of learning. And they are not something that need to be redeemed. It's not a bad situation that we somehow need to make better. They are actually the stuff of learning. They are actually the essence of what education is about, and as such, should be celebrated and should be enjoyed. Now, why is this important? Why am I taking your time on Saturday morning telling you? Well, let me tell you a short story. Some time ago, myself and some friends, we wanted to go to a theater in Kraków. We phoned there, we tried to book tickets, we couldn't buy them online, or we couldn't buy them by credit cards, so the lady in the ticket office says, okay, 10 tickets will be waiting for you. When you get here, you'll just buy them as you arrive. Now, by the fact that we were trying to book the tickets on the day of performance, you can get the idea that we were not very organized. And as a part of not being organized, we got to the theater 2 minutes after the performance started. We were expecting that they might not let us in because the performance started, so not to disturb others. That was not a problem, because there was other group of people who arrived after us, and they got in. There was another problem, and it was a big problem, because we didn't have the tickets. The tickets were in the tickets office, which was closed. The girl, very kind and quite young and very cheerful, said, well, I'm sorry, I cannot let you in. Well, why not? Well, you don't have the tickets. But we've got the money, and the tickets are there. I cannot take your money. Well, what can we do? Well, you don't have the tickets. Well, can we give you them? No, I cannot have the money. There's your friend. Could she take the money? No, she cannot take the money either. Well, could you together take the money and witness that you have taken the money? We cannot take the money. Only the ticket person can take the money. Okay, well, can I give you my ID card, and I'll come back to it tomorrow when the tickets office is open, and I'll buy the tickets. And she said, yes, you can. And then you buy the tickets for tomorrow, and tomorrow you can come. I said, I'm not in Kraków tomorrow evening. We talked about 10 minutes, and there was no hope. We didn't get the tickets. There was 10 of us. Tickets were 70 zloty. There was 700 zloty that the theater, it was small theater, didn't earn. 10 empty seats in the audience. 10 people that did not see the work of the actors on the stage. The girl there was very kind, very nice, but she had a procedure. She had the right way of doing things. You have to have the tickets first, and then I'll let you in. And don't get me wrong, procedures are good in most cases. But more and more often, we'll find ourselves in a situation when the procedure is not enough. More and more, our job, our family, our society, our culture, our economy will require us to be in situations when there is no known previous answer, when there is no procedure. And we have to be in a position where we know how to make safe mistakes, how to learn from them, and actually how to enjoy them. I don't know if we need 10,000 hours to practice and master it, but I know that we need much more than we have now. So I hope you will carry on making mistakes. I hope you will enjoy them, and I hope they will be a source of great knowledge and fun in your life. Thank you.